Hello, it's Rebecca Happy here at Happy Grounds on Ottawa Buzz TV, and today we have a very special guest that you're going to be really glad that you get to meet. Is Amanda Dunklin, and she represents a company called Landmark, selling and ensuring that business owners and entrepreneurs have the right coverage with their insurance. So many of us forget that it's available, don't know that it's available, and just keep trying to make ends meet without getting proper coverage, and that's the worst thing that you can do. So welcome today, and thanks for joining me, Amanda. I'm so happy to meet you and to hear all about what you have to tell us, and a little bit about your story. And because you were saying that you used to run
equestrian, very close. Equestrian, yeah.
I did that growing up. Like I did voltage and like the standing up.
Oh, very good.
For many years. And so the equestrian center out in Kemptville until for several years. And then, you got some illness and it set you back and you had to fold it all up. So that's a really interesting story that you actually completely changed the direction of your life as a result of that, and now you're sort of impassioned and on fire to help local business owners. So tell us a little bit about that story that you were just sort of reviewing with me, because I think that's very, very interesting and important for most of us to hear.
Excellent. Okay, well, thank you first for having me, Rebecca. I am honored to support and be here. So the story that you're mentioning, so yes, I have been self-employed for my entire adulthood. My family had disability strike our life when my mom actually just fell off a chair, changing a light bulb, and due to company provided doctors, underwriting at the time of claim, we ended up losing incrementally everything. So when I ventured into business ownership, I was aware that it was my responsibility to put protection in place for myself. However, I knew what questions to ask of programs, and I was sorely disappointed in what's available on the market for the self-employed. So I actually went without for the first 4 years of owning my equestrian school that focused on eventing, and anyone within the horse world is aware of the level of danger in horses at all, let alone eventing. And I ended up having now my dear friend and colleague come to my farm and say, hey, this is who we are, this is what we do. The quality and comprehension of the program just blew my socks off. And when I explained to him what had happened to my mom and how particular I was in not just having insurance, but having insurance I knew would work. I was a single parent. I didn't have a lot of money. I needed to know that I was paying into something that was going to do what I needed it to do. He took way more time than any other agent would have to explain every single term, definition, made me fully understand what it is I had, what my next steps were. So the story that you're referring to, Rebecca, comes to my decision to protect myself against injury, but then I waited on the sickness because I had never been sick before. I was 29. I'm like, oh, I'll get it in place before I'm 40 and the rates go up. My uterus didn't get the memo. And last year I ended up I ended up in and out of hospital with what the doctors thought was uterine cancer. So I'm a pretty tough woman, and it takes a lot to stop me. But when a doctor knocks you out for surgery, it doesn't matter how tough you are, you're out. It's unfortunate that when our health is taken away, the financial stresses that come with that is the part that not many talk about. So when I even myself was in hospital for the first surgery, I was sent beautiful well wishes and get well and flowers and casseroles and beautiful cards, but nobody sent me money. And I really needed money because the bills don't care. So I was out the first surgery. The doctors wanted me out for 12 weeks. I pushed myself back after 4 because I couldn't afford not to work. And I did not have the sickness protection in place, which would have cost me less than $100 a month. And I would have had income coming in every month for myself. So it's not that the program wasn't available nor explained to me. I just decided that it wasn't for me just yet. So in the month of May, it cost me over $8,000 to replace me for the month, on top of the rest of the regular operating expenses of the business. And so I got myself back to work. And then in August, when I went for my follow-up, hoping for the all clear, in which time I was immediately going to get sickness in place for myself, I was instead told that it was all happening again and I needed to have a full hysterectomy. They were unsure about how many treatments I would need after for chemo, radiation. Unsurety of my health caused me to have to liquidate my school. So I had worked extremely hard for 10.5 years to build an impressive school. I had a really great program. I had a fantastic client list that I called my team, and we had to dismantle it, and I shut down. So the silver lining of what happened to my family when my mom went down, and what happened to my life in having to let go a lifelong dream of being an equestrian school owner, is that I transitioned to become an agent for Landmark Canada, who specializes in the needs of the self-employed. So now I am healing with every policy that I provide someone, knowing as much as I wish I could show somebody how not to lose their health, but I can't, but I can make sure that they have a comprehensive program that's going to do exactly what they need it to do when they need it. And alleviating the financial weight of, because the bills don't care. The banks, mortgage, landlords, hydro, heat, cell phone, if you tell them, oh, I was in a severe accident, or oh, I'm battling for my health with any sort of illness, it doesn't matter. And that financial stress is something not often spoken about.
So coverage that you provide, it would be for small business or solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, as well as like larger businesses?
So we specialize in medium to high risk self-employed. It's underwritten.
What does that mean, high risk?
So any business owner that's within an approved occupation. So there are just a handful of business owners that we can't work with based on their type of business. But in that case, if they still reach out to us, we can offer them a referral of who will. But anybody who is self-employed or
so if you were, for example,
the folks like arborists and mechanics and loggers and owner operators that are at extremely high risk of being injured, they're often overlooked and underserved. That's who we specialize in.
Oh, wow. You were like an independent contractor, that anybody who works in forestry, you know, like tree planting or felling trees, like you were talking about, or log scaling. Would that be a person that you would be able to cover insurance for?
Anybody in work boots and anybody who owns a business. Okay. Because nobody shows up for, and what we do is secure a tax-free monthly income. If you're unable to perform your duties to your full capacity, we make sure that that paycheck keeps coming in month after month so that you can focus on your health. And then for those higher risks that often can't get anything, let alone something comprehensive, that is who we were initially designed for.
Right. So you were saying that this is a really well-established business that's been around since the 70s. And,
correct.
That when you kind of came on the scene, you were part of the younger generation who was going, wow, you guys got to get with the program and let people know about this, because there's tons of business owners, especially here in the city of Ottawa, but across the country for sure, that need what you have but don't even know you exist.
Precisely. That's we would giggle amongst ourselves to say we were the best kept secret because our executive board have been at this since 1971, representing these incredible programs and serving that underserved market of self-employed. However, when COVID hit, they all pulled themselves out of retirement to build Landmark. So we were the old Penn Corp group from back in the 70s. And it's the same group that's still at it that's now building Landmark. So a bunch of younger entrepreneurs came to the table, and obviously we have a little bit more tech savvy, if you will, savviness. And when COVID hit, we were deemed essential services, which kind of shot us in the foot, because then we didn't qualify for any of the government aid that was being provided. And further to that, this is when the community has needed us most. I mean, this virus wipes people out, and our sickness policies protect people against that. If you end up having falling ill, we, provide that paycheck. So when COVID hit, that kind of allowed us to push gently the executive board, if you will, to say, okay, let's get online. And that was scary for them. And I'm really, really thankful and proud of them for trusting in us to get us there, because now we are able to fully service from the safety of home.
So a couple of questions. This is an Ottawa-based company, or it's based from the West Coast or something?
So our head office is in Oakville. We have offices across the country. Yeah, and we do obviously have a team of agents in Ottawa.
And so the insurance coverage without include like health benefits for, just like prescriptions or glasses, dental, all that.
So that's the benefits, right? That's the benefits that people are most well versed in, because it's utilized often. So yes, we have a partner company that an all Canadian company, not for profit, that we represent and offer as well. Our specialty is that income protection, but of course our agents are able to serve life, investments, the medical, dental as you're speaking, and then that income protection is that base protection that every entrepreneur needs. Okay.
So you were also saying that someone knocks on your door or you knock on theirs, that within an hour, you'll have the best solution for what they need to be well covered on all aspects of insurance, right?
Yeah. So with the, I like to explain insurance like a pizza. So each slice represents something. We are a huge advocate in going to someone who specializes in what it is that you're asking for. So we specialize in disability. We make sure you're always paid. And then we also have access to the benefits, as you say, which is the drug, the dental, physio, chiro, and then your life policies, your investment policies. And then, of course, everybody needs liability. That pays the other person in the case of you being sued. Everybody needs liability because nobody has a couple million in the bank ready for a lawsuit. But then the next step to that is asset protection, making sure that if your car gets damaged, that it's replaceable, your truck, your water heater, your water tank. But then part of that asset that we find is so often overlooked is the person, is that individual. I mean, we are our biggest asset. Nothing else would exist without our ability to earn. And that's the asset that we specialize in protecting.
Okay. So if people, we're going to tie this up now. This is actually, you could do probably a little mini series on everything that you're doing. But,
thank you.
If people wanted to contact you, do you want them just to go to Landmark Canada? Or how do people need to contact you if they want to?
Totally. So the website is quite self-explanatory. It explains what it is that we do and who we are. So landmarkcanada.com. It's actually .ca. Which is fine. Landmarkcanada.ca. It'll come up. And there's a contact form right through the website, and an agent within that catchment area can give a call, book an appointment, and we pride ourselves in being educators. We'll take the time so that you know exactly what it is you have, what you need, and make sure that you're not spending unnecessary cash for things that are going to fight with one another or not do what you expect it to do. We appreciate how hard our clients work for their funds. We don't want to see anyone stating that they're insurance poor, because it doesn't need to be like that.
And is the process when people need to make a claim, like, is it tedious like most insurance companies, or did you find that this company was way better?
Yeah, so that, again, one of the understanding of these policies and how they work, that just comes down to underwriting, the assessment of risk. The hoops need jumped through. What it is that you want to do in something like disability is jump those hoops at the time of application. So when you're in good health and sound mind, and that's called underwriting up front. What most companies will do is underwrite at the time of claim. And that's where you're fighting for your health and you're having to jump all those hoops to find out what you have and don't have. We do that up front. So that way the claims process is simple. We settle 90% of our claims within a week. Wow. Because the homework's been done. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just those little things that put one above the other or make the differences is what we pride ourselves in having folks understand.
So here in the city, you have 5 people that do the same thing that you do?
Precisely. Yeah. So we have 100 some agents across the country, but in Ottawa specifically, we have a team of almost half a dozen. One's just writing their license now.
And so it's a whole bunch of younger women entering the scene now?
It's a combination. That's the beauty of the business is we have, I mean, a large part of our agents have lived through disability themselves. Yeah. So we are experts in the emotional weight of what happens when you cannot meet your financial obligations to provide for yourself and your family. Like, we lived it. So a lot. We have all ages and genders. It's just super fun to be a young, we're just a bunch of young entrepreneurs wishing to serve our community with something that works.
Right on. Well, thank you. This was really, really great to hear this information. And, if anybody's watching this, or when you do, share it around. This is Amanda Dunklin. She's from landmarkcanada.ca. A mother co-parenting of 5 kids in mixed family.
So many babies
at the same time.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you having me on, Rebecca. And I mean, we're screaming from the rooftops that we exist for the self-employed, and we're built just for business owners. Exactly what you need.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you.
My pleasure.